So when it starts to boil, that's when you get your oil. And I don't have any olive oil right now, but corn oil works just as well, even though it's from more than likely a GMO crop. A couple times won't hurt you. I bought it for cooking popcorn. And just a little bit, because all you really want to do is coat the top of the boiling water, so that when you add your pasta, the oil sticks to the pasta. And that way, you want to stir this as quickly as possible, and what I try to do is fold it back into the oil. This way your pasta won't stick to itself. At least there's a smaller likelihood that it will. You see how the oil just kind of beads up on top? I don't know if you can see that or not. This camera's not that great, but what I'm doing with the spatula is actually the same spatula that I'm preparing the meat part of the dish as well. Using it in the boiling water helps to clean it, so when I sit it down on the tray there, it's relatively clean. At least there's no raw particles on there, you know. So I only got the meat on medium. It's at 4. I don't like to cook on high temperature because 1, you destroy a lot of the vitamin value. 2, you will more likely burn your food. There's just no need for that. You don't want to burn your pans either. Once this gets to another rigorous boil, just lower the temperature once you know by feel that the pasta is not sticking to itself. That's when you can decrease the temperature. So I've got it on high right now, of course, just to get the water going. We're going to put it back down to maybe 3. You don't want to cover this because you'll get a boil over if you do that, because the pasta, like rice and all starchy foods, when they begin to cook, they release a lot of that starch and it'll spill over. So you don't want to cover this until it's already done expelling that initial starch. And this is fine now. I may turn it back up, but honestly I really don't need to, because that low temperature with the oil in there will prevent it from sticking. It'll cook just nicely. I'm just going to tend back to this. Got the water heating. I'm just going to put that on low now because I don't want it to get too hot. Ooh, steamy. Always try to drain that back into the pan. Then sitting it on a cloth works really well. I attempt to do it with my left hand, very difficult. Very difficult indeed. This floppy pan. I just take the mass of the meat and I put it in the pan. I let it cook once I flatten it. And once it's cooked, if you bought the right meat, you can simply crumble it with your spatula without issue. That way you don't have to worry about keeping it separated and stirring it all the time. Most of what you see in there is not fat. This was a 91% lean product. That's mostly water. I do that. It happens that way because of covering the saucepan, but it actually helps to cook the meat all the way through, which is what you want. It'll cook all the way through anyway, but just to ensure that, the top keeps in all the moisture. And now I can basically just let that simmer as it is. That'll boil off some of that moisture. Not that we really want it all off, but I do like the taste of the meat as it browns in the pan. Okay, I'm just going to rinse this in the pasta again and set it here. Turn that back up to medium again. I recycle whatever I can. And so what I have for ingredients, this is ginger I got at the Asian market. What I'm going to do is add this to the water, and that's going to be part of the sauce. I will add the meat to that. What I will not do is discard that water. I think that it's a mistake to boil pasta in the water and then throw away the water. That's where all the vitamins and value are. I simply take that water and I pour it off. I pour it out of the pan into a container, such as this. Okay. And then once I pour the sauce into the pot, which would then contain the cooked pasta, I add the sauce and then I pour the water from there into here, and I rinse the jar, thereby cleaning the jar and not wasting anything. And the jar can go into a easily rinsed state in the sink and then into the recycle. I'm also going to add a little marjoram to the sauce and a little Cholula. I picked up the Cholula idea from a place here in Austin called Milto's Mediterranean Cafe. Their homemade sauce is a bit on the spicy side. Not that it's hot at all, it's just a little bit on the spicy side, and I liked it. So I also add a little honey to the mix because the honey richens the flavor without adding too much salt. So you get the slight spicy, sweet, which is really not sweet, and a salty mix, and it creates a really nice pasta dish. I'm also going to add spinach. Because the spinach really richens the flavor and the healthiness of the dish, adding the cellulose and the iron and the calcium and all that kind of stuff. Though there's only a little bit of it in there, it is in there, and it really makes a difference. So the other thing that cooking on medium temperatures does for your kitchen, it prevents a lot of the odors from sticking in the kitchen, and it also prevents messes from happening around the stove. So there's no grease here right now because nothing is popping out and spilling over. Once it gets to that point, the liquid will have evaporated mostly, and it will not sizzle and pop. If you have it on anything more than medium-high, medium-high becomes just too high of a temperature for the food products. Before the water goes away, it pops and sizzles. You make a big mess. Then you have to clean it up. And that's usually a concern for people that don't like to clean up while cooking or even after cooking. So just prevents a mess before it happens. Works out pretty well. You can see the pasta is not sticking. That small amount of oil is just the right amount for a pound of dry pasta. And that amount of oil in the water as well, because I'm not throwing the water away, is good for your digestive system. I wish it were olive oil, but I just don't have any more of that right now. I try to stir things slowly and cook things on lower temperatures. It creates a nice relaxing time with your cooking. Yeah, my battery's going dead. I'm going to have to charge this before I can make another part of the video. But that's what you want to do. You don't want to rush cook your food. Cooking and eating should be a time of relaxation and reflection rather than a time of, oh, I gotta hurry and stuff my gut, you know? I don't think that eating quickly is good for our minds or souls or anything like that, especially not for our bodies. So, just going to clean this off again in the hot water. Put it down there, and I'll be back shortly. As the water evaporates, as it burns off, you hear it's popping. I did turn it down a notch. I'm going to turn it down one more time, because it just doesn't need it high anymore. It just doesn't need to be that high once it's already done cooking the meat. I did get some splatters. I didn't turn it down soon enough, so what I'm going to do is kind of pick it up. There it goes. That's what happens when you mess with it. Otherwise it's fine. I want it splattering into the camera or over the floor. Okay. As I did that, the eye cooled off. I can probably turn this off now. It doesn't need to be on. Check the pasta one more time. I've got the phone plugged in now, so we're good, ready to go. And as I said, the pasta cooks just fine on a low temperature. It's on medium-low heat, or I guess low-medium. And it's cooking just nicely. It doesn't need to be boiling. The water just needs to be very hot.